So with a couple of videos having been made about riding in the Prescott area, I had my GoPro tucked away for a couple of years without pulling it out. Thought it's about time I made one too, and I had lately gotten a power meter for my bike, and had always been curious on how to put up gauges on the video that would show all the parameters of the ride. So I thought, what better way to try out my power meter, find out what kind of powers I put out, and that would be on a Friday morning ride. And Friday morning rides are traditionally a climbing ride. We try to find all the, quote, hills around town. And today, Jim took us out on a hill that we'd never been on before, and he touted it as being super tough. Now, I don't know exactly what that means, but as we go through the ride, I'm sure we're going to find out. He claimed there are a lot of really tough pitches on there. So where I turned the camera on here, we're about on the 12th mile of a 30-mile ride. It's been kind of rolling, a few climbs, but nothing too tough. And I know we have a really big climb at the end of the ride, so I won't be able to give everything here. Whether I want to or not, I don't know. But we have about a quarter mile here during the flat portion of the neighborhood before it'll really kick up.
Yeah.
So while we're rolling along here on the flatter portion, I'll take a moment to point out what the gauges are that I've laid out on the video. In the upper left-hand corner, we have an aerial view of the route. The red dot is showing where we are on the ride. In the middle of the screen, I've put the gradient readout, and there's a little angle wedge there, and whenever it's red, you're going uphill, and green, you're going downhill. And the greater the grade, the greater that wedge of pi will be. Over on the right, we have three gauges. The bigger one in the middle is showing on the outer ring the cadence that I'm pedaling, and in the middle of that is showing the power output. In the lower right is the miles per hour, and I'm going to point out right now that I don't know why every now and then that won't look like it's correct, but you get a feel for how fast we're moving regardless of that number being right. I'm going to have to figure out what's going on there later. But the final gauge over there on the far right, that little wedge, that will be showing heart rate. And it'll show the actual heart rate number along with the colored band on the right there. So right now, it might be showing that I'm in green, but the deeper I go and the higher my heart rate, it'll turn yellow and eventually red when I'm really killing myself. And just for reference, I have a max heart rate of 183, and there are times it's going to climb very, very close to that. And believe me, at that point, I'm hurting. While you're watching, you'll probably catch that the gradient value that I'm calling out is not matching what is showing on the gauge in the middle of the road. And that happened because I was calling out the values showing on my Garmin computer, but the values that I uploaded into the gauges came off my phone. And apparently they don't always agree exactly with each other. And there may be a few people out there watching who don't really have a gut feel for what particular gradient values feel like. So roughly a 2 or 3, you know you're going up a grade, but you wouldn't really even call it a hill. You get up to 5 or 6, and now you know you're climbing. You can feel it. And up around 8 through 10, now you're really working it. It's not a grade you want to do for a long time. And anything over 12, it's hurting. So you can imagine as you're watching the grades that show up on that road, how they've got to feel. Not pleasant at all.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. It's a wall.
So you probably heard the words "uh-oh" come out of my mouth a couple of times. Well, you can't really tell by the camera angle, but we were already on a pretty good grade there, and up ahead it looked like a vertical wall coming up.
I need another gear.
We're now hitting the bottom of what
9,
looked like that wall coming up out of the road.
10,
And while we're climbing up there,
11.
keep an eye on that grade and watch it go. Check out the power meter on the effort required to get up that thing. And while I'm going up, keep an eye on the heart rate monitor too.
17, 18. Yeah, 19.
Heart rate totally in the red. Thank God for a moment of reprieve. But it's short and right back up again we're going. I can hardly breathe. I'm gasping for breath, and the hill won't quit.
14. 15.
You know, as I'm watching the video go by, I can't believe how long I've kept my heart rate up over 170. It's continually in the red, and at one point I'm peaking out at 178 when I only have a max of 183. It hurts like hell, and every
14,
fiber of my being
15.
just wants the pain to stop.
Down to 9, it's a cakewalk.
It finally leveled off for a moment, and I really wanted to quit pedaling, but off goes Jim, and I've got no choice but to follow. So while I'm riding up here, take a note that the power meter is showing I'm up 400, maybe 450 watts. And I can only hold that power for moments at a time. But compare that to a pro riding a mountain climb in the Tour de France who can hold 400 watts for a full hour. Unbelievable. Coming around that final corner, right up the road, the final little climb. But I've got totally nothing left, and I just can't keep my legs moving. But off goes Jim, and I watched, just, he's rolling away. I don't feel like I can do anything about it, but something in me was not going to let him beat me, and I just dug for everything I was worth. And mere yards from the top of that crest, I totally crack. I can barely even keep my legs moving to get over the top and roll down the hill. I never thought it would feel so good to quit pedaling. Waiting at the bottom are a couple of guys who didn't want to attempt it and took the shortcut around to get to the bottom.
That was a lot of fun. You should have been there. Lots of 9, a fair amount of 13, 14, and it peaked out around 2021.
Get out of here.
So at a half a mile, no way would that qualify as being anything in the long climb category. But as far as going vertical in that short little time, I have never ridden anything that steep in my life. It was unrelenting, and even when you got a little break for a few feet, it went right back up again.
Can we go back and do repeats of that?
21%.
Yeah, go ahead. Go for it. You're not doing hour of yoga before.
Oh, yeah. Especially if Parker Robinson or something is on the agenda.
Woo! That's a bit.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
I thought Jim was going to pop along with me.
Puffing. My heart rate was over 150 the whole way up.
I have no idea, but I was way deep.
Did you see what your power was? You probably averaged over 200, maybe even 300.
Yeah, it could be.
I'll be curious when you download it to see.
Film at 8.
Woo!
Okay, where's he now?
Now we're going to turn right.